This is going to be a morning episode. This is a little bit of an experiment. I've not done this before. I haven't meditated this morning. I know to you crazy Red Bulls sipping, kick your feet in the air as soon as you wake up and go jump on 200 Zoom poker players out there, that doesn't mean much. But to yours truly, usually meditation is a staple part of my morning, and I can be a little bit destabilized if I don't partake in it. But I just, for some reason, as soon as I woke up, I just want to get stuff out. And I was like, maybe I should write something. I was like, this doesn't feel right either. So I'm going to jump on. I'm going to have a couple of conversations. Then I'm going to go out to my park. Then I'm going to meditate. And what we're going to do is we're going to have some debates. And you guys, literally any one of you, can call in and be like, yo, Charlie, what's up? I've got a bone to pick with you for this thing that you once spoke about, and I disagree. Or you could be like, hey, you haven't spoke about this. What do you think about it? Let's debate it. And I'm there for you. I'm there for it. I'm there for you. I'm there for things. I'm just going to get the chats open. Pop out chat. I'm going to grab my headphones as well. One second. So if there's a single one of you out there, if there's a single person out there that wants to have a little discussion with yours truly, a little debate ski, now's the time. It's kind of like weird timing. It's like bedtime for all Americans, morning time for all English people. I don't know how many people are actually going to be up, especially poker players, but we'll see. We'll see about it. So I make a Zoom call, or what you can do is you can just say hi in the chat, and then give me a topic to rant about. If I feel like ranting, this is a good time to do it. I'll just let it out. If there's a single topic you want me to go on like a 2-minute rant about, any topic under the sun, literally any topic under the sun. Nothing is too controversial or too personal. Hopefully, we'll see. I don't know if I should say that, but we'll see. And I'll just go on a little rantsky if you guys don't want to call in. What do I think of the state of online poker? I think it's softer than it has been. Honestly, I was thinking about it yesterday. I think it might be softer now than it was like a few years ago. Would you win at poker if you could only play out of position? In some games, in live cash games for sure. Online cash games, if I was only in like small blind, or if everybody just had position after the flop, I'd probably lose. Maybe like 2, 5, 10 and L, I'd win, but I think after that I'd struggle. Yeah. People are, once you hit 25 and L these days online, people are okay. I genuinely think they might be worse than they were about 3 years ago, if I had to guess. I think whatever's happening with these coaching sites is just making most people worse. Say hi for Tashkent, bro. Is Tashkent the Islamic New Year, or is it something else? I know it's the Islamic New Year today, but I don't know the name of it. I'm a bad Muslim. Whenever I speak to Muslims, not whenever, but often, city is Uzbekistan. Nice to know, Mr. Vatang Gelajvili. This is this guy's name, if anyone. I'm reading out a name on YouTube. I wouldn't be able to say that again. Who am I rooting for in the main event? Whoever has the name closest to something like Moneymaker that isn't Moneymaker. How intriguing shit coaches. Yeah. I'm a bad Muslim. What did I walk into? So here's the thing. Whenever I speak to Muslims, a lot of them will say, you're basically a Muslim. Because here's the thing. I know Allah. I know that God is a thing. I know. And I pray more times a day than Muslims. They got there 5 times a day. I got my 20 times a day. And I'm dedicated towards doing as much good in the world as possible. And that really is like the core tenet of what most Muslims that I come across think is what makes a good Muslim. So a lot of people will say, you're a good Muslim. And I'll be like, thanks. But then I'll speak to a Hindu, they'll be like, oh, you're kind of Hindu. And then I'll speak to a Buddhist, and kind of a Christian, kind of Christian. Here's the thing, to technically be Muslim, you need to say that Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the last prophet, which I don't believe. And you need to believe that the Quran is the direct word of God, which I don't believe. But then to be a Christian, in some people's view, you need to say that Christ is our Lord and Savior, the Son of God, and the only redeeming thing of the world. It's just not true. It's just not a thing. What do you think about cancelling others because they're speaking out on a subject, particularly in regard to various conflicts happening? I think cancelling is kind of on a bit of a downswing right now. I think cancelling around 2017 was at its ATH, is all-time high. But people are pretty, I don't know, people are pretty over it, I'd say. Hey, from Denmark, is poker still fun for you? I played last night, it was so fun. Much love from Brazil. There's a lot of people around the world right now. You're in Brazil, you're getting up early, huh? Or are you going to bed late? Where are you from? Really bright lights. From England. Kind of have to acknowledge Jesus' existence and sacrifice, which implies the other axiom. I mean, Jesus existed, and to say otherwise is just like historically retarded. And I mean that in the technical sense of the word retarded, like, kind of like backwards, you know. But to say that, he sacrificed himself for the sins of the world, true, but so do many people. And did he exist in man or as a son of God himself? Well, the thing is, let me go. Can I go on a rant about Jesus for a second? Will you guys listen to me if I go on a rant about Jesus for a goddamn? Because enough people say I look like him, despite me cutting my hair, not being brown and small. Enough people say it. I feel like I've got some stuff in me that's got to come out. Here's the thing about Yeshua, which is his real name, by the way. And he was a little farmer boy. He was an uneducated bloke from Galilee, from Palestine, and we have a lot of records of what Jesus did and of what Jesus said. Now, did Jesus claim to be the Son of God? And what does that mean, to be the Son of God and not to be God? Did he claim divinity upon himself? Well, historians and Christians alike tend to look at the Bible to answer this question. They tend to go to the Bible. They tend to go to the New Testament because that's where they speak about Jesus and his shenanigans. Well, what do we have in the New Testament? We have, got the four canonical Gospels. We've got Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Mark written first by all accounts. John written last by all accounts. And they kind of like copied from each other. But here's the thing. Does Jesus claim to be divine? Does he claim to be God in Matthew? No. Does he claim to be God in Mark? No. Does he claim to be God in Luke? No. Does he claim to be God in John? Yes. Now, John was written last out of all four of these Gospels. So if you look at the chronology of when they were written, scholars seem to agree that, theologians and scholars and historians seem to agree that John was written last. So in John, we get all of these quotes like, I am the way, the light, if you've seen you've seen the Father before Abraham existed, I am. Now, you can dig into a lot of what these quotes mean, like actually the phrase I am, it's in Greek, I believe it was ego sum, which sometimes could mean God. It doesn't necessarily need to mean me, but it does seem like in the Gospel of John, he is claiming some divinity. Now, the first question is, why wouldn't any of the other three Gospels mention it? Seems like a pretty damn important thing. And the next thing is, how reliable is the Gospel of John to actually gauge what Jesus said? And here's what people don't know about the Bible. A lot of people seem to think, hello, Tia Hatfield Graham, Elvan Zazma, and Chow. A lot of people seem to think that the Bible is just kind of like one thing. You got maybe like 10 different versions, but they're all relatively similar. What do you think? Like, how do you think the Bible was actually written? Do you think John just sat down and be like, all right, this is my gospel? This isn't how the Bible was collated. Here's what happened. When people were around Jesus, he was like, yeah. I'm going to keep giving all of these hundreds or thousands of sermons. I'm going to keep traveling all around, and I'm going to keep telling people about the word. I'm going to keep telling people in parables. I'm going to keep telling people stories. He's like, doing the messianic thing. Messiah, by the way, just means like powerful leader. It doesn't technically mean like savior of the world or anything like that. And people are remembering these things. They're remembering, and then his disciples are remembering. And then he's like, go out and spread the word of what I've been saying. You guys go do the same thing. We'll do some good in this world. And they crushed it, to be fair. I mean, we're still talking about it 2,000 years later. I mean, good job. I mean, well played. But how likely is it that we've managed to actually now, 2,000 years later, get the words of what he said accurately? Now, this is, hey, what's up, All In Pav? We're talking about Jesus. Thanks for the raid, brother. We're doing a thing where literally anybody can call in and debate me about anything, but I'm on a Jesus rant right now. So I apologize in advance if you guys are here for poker. We're talking JC. So if we look in the historicity of the gospel, it's pretty funny if someone's like ready to watch me crush them like 5K now and they're like, what the fuck? If we look in the historicity of the Gospels, like how were they actually written? Here's how they were written. People orally, so verbally, told the stories of Jesus, said the words of Jesus, maybe wrote some things down. And then eventually, maybe like 50 to 70 years later, people started putting these down in an actual gospel. This is when this is when theologians think that the first gospels were written somewhere around like 50 to 70 AD, pretty much after all the disciples would have been dead or like near the end of their life, but whatever. So what happens then is that if you want to then spread the word of these gospels, you need people to write them down. You can't just copy and paste. You can't just put it on a Word document like you can these days. You need people to write down word for word, letter for letter, page for page, every single thing that's written in one of these gospels. And so what happens is we get scribes who aren't apparently particularly well trained back then, although I've not studied scribes from 2,000 years ago, but this is what theologians seem to say. They weren't particularly well trained until like a few hundred years later when you had monks that were actually like trained to do these things. And you would make copies of these gospels. And the thing about scribes is that they make mistakes. If you try copying a book verbatim word for word, you'd end up making a mistake. And most of you are going to be more literate than 99% of the people that lived back then. So you get scribes that make mistakes, and then you get a copy of the copy, but then the mistakes kind of transfer over, and then you make another copy of the copy, and then you make another copy of the copy, and it goes on and goes on and goes on and goes on and goes on until you just have like thousands and thousands of different versions of these gospels. And not only that, people then start making intentional mistakes because they're like, oh, this doesn't really add up. I don't really like the sound of that. I've got these theological beliefs about Jesus, and this kind of implies this, and I don't like this, and people in my church are saying this, so I'm actually going to change this. And so then you have copies of the changed copies intentionally of the copies of the copies of the changed copies of the copies of the copies of the copies. And there's just 1,000,001 different versions. And actually, if you look at the Bible right now, we have tens of thousands of different versions of the Gospels. Now, this is a problem. What else is a problem? The Gospels actually contradict themselves. Like there are genuine, just absolute, you can't reconcile them contradictions. Like, for instance, with the reincarnation story, who found him afterwards? Who was the first person to go to the tomb? What happened after his birth? Did they go straight to Egypt? Did they go straight back to... There's stuff that's just like in gospel it says A, and in other gospel it says not A. So again, contradictions in the Bible. So then how do we get the Bible? So the church, like a few hundred years later, and for many hundreds of years afterwards, they have debates about, okay, do we want this in the Bible or do we want this in the Bible? Okay, we're going to get rid of this gospel because there are like whole gospels that they call the Gnostic gospels, even though they're not particularly about Gnosticism. The Gospel of Mary, the Gospel of Thomas, and there's a few others that they're just like, all right, you're out of here. We're not going to put you in the Bible anymore. We're only going to have these ones. And then they they have to choose from all of these different versions of the Bible and kind of like mush them all together. But now we actually have access to tens of thousands of different versions of the Bible. That's an issue. If we're saying that the Bible is the Word of God, and we have tens of thousands of different versions of the Bible, how can it and we're just randomly allowing some priest to tell us which one is correct. How can you say that this is the word of God unless he's like really finagling all of the details along the way? But it just doesn't seem like that because there are contradictions and all these things. So does Jesus claim to be God? Probably not. Probably not. It seems very, very likely that there have been some finagling of the words. There have been, some deification of Jesus because it gave people the ability to control populations. It gave people the ability to be able to say, hey, we've got the God. Like, he is actually the God. And this isn't only Christianity that does this. Like, I've spent a lot of time with the Hare Krishnas, and they look at the Bhagavad Gita, which is one of the Upanishads, which is one of the Hindu scriptures, and they're like, yeah, Krishna's the God, just so you know. And we've kind of like got him in our group. So the Bhagavad Gita is and we're kind of like representations of that. And so it's like they're not as controlling and violent as the Christians have been in history, but on average, this is what's not versions, variants. No, it's actual versions. Like there are just like huge contradictions across all of these other things. So, did you come and wet hair on stream? Yeah, this is post-shower pre-meditation. So, the problem that I have with a lot of Christianity is that they say, to be a Christian, you have to say that Jesus is my savior. You have to say that he is the Son of God and that we are all saved by his being crucified on the cross and he died to save our sins and all of these things. But is this coming from Jesus' mouth, or is this coming from the church who has put themselves on top of this religion? Now, this is only just scraping the surface of the issues of what's going on in the Bible. In fact, there's actually huge contradictions between Paul and what Paul says and what Jesus said. There's so much to dig into, and people just think, I've got a New Testament over there. People just think, I've got my New Testament. This is the word of God. It's all God-breathed according to the Timothy, whatever it is. I forgot which scripture it is, but the Bible's meant to be all God-breathed and whatnot. And they just don't look into what's actually going on behind the scenes, which is huge, huge, huge contradictions. And actually, if you go deep into meditation, if you go deep into traditions, people speak of Jesus as being one of the many people who have gone deep in the spiritual path and done a lot of good in the world. And you can actually, this is getting a little bit off the beaten path. You can meditate and kind of feel the frequency of these things, and you can feel the frequency of Christ, and you can actually discern there's a difference between Jesus and Christ, although Christians seem to think it's the exact same thing. But it is worth saying that sometimes you need religions to be simple, because most people are simple, or at least have been throughout history and kind of still are. If you tell somebody all of the nuances of religion, if you tell somebody you have to go and experience it yourself to try and figure out what's going on, people will be like, no, I'm too busy trying to make money and I'm too busy trying to get laid. So, okay, we need Islam, we need Christianity, we need Judaism until people can actually learn to think for themselves, and we need simplified versions of them, because until people decide to learn to think for themselves, they're going to be relatively simple. But yeah, if anyone wants to call in, by the way, and debate me on that topic, that was my Jesus rant. Jesus didn't claim to be God. The translations in the first place from Greek to English are like dodgy at best. He doesn't claim to be God in the first 3 Gospels, only in John, and then we get a bunch of these, like I am the way. And again, this phrase "I am" could mean a bunch of things. Ego sum. It could mean that God is the way. It could mean that the only way to God is the I am. This I am comes up in many other religions as well, this concept of I am. All right, my question would be, what's your thoughts on stone circles and monuments around the world? Because it's a similar thing, what you're talking about, people rearrange meanings and messages. People have understood the ley lines of Earth and built monuments for very specific metaphysical, spiritual, scientific reasons. And now modern science hasn't figured this stuff out yet, although there are many people across the world that do know about it. So we just assume they're just like historical monuments that people did for absolutely no reason. But including things like the pyramids, there are like energy centers, energy points on Earth that people have built on, and you can actually go and do some cool ass meditations. Sure, maybe he didn't call himself God. What about the miracles? What about the power of faith in him? So here's the thing about miracles is that they happen all the time. They happen even in the Old Testament, like Moses is parting the sea. We don't call him God because he happened to be, and I'm just using kind of theological arguments here. I'm not saying this actually happened or didn't happen, but he did. We say that Moses was inspired by God, or he was influenced by God, but we don't say that he was God. Gautama Buddha, the Buddha that you all know relatively well, although there are many Buddhas. Gautama Buddha, he did a bunch of these miracles himself, multiplying food, healing people, seeing the future, like various other, like all of these things. And the reason that people in the East don't really speak about these miracles so much is because it's actually kind of not that abnormal to have miraculous things happen when you go deep on your spiritual path. People get superpowers, or you can call them superpowers when they go deep on their spiritual path. They call them siddhis, siddhis, and it's not that much of a thing. Now, one of the interesting theories out there, which I personally I think is true to a large degree of certainty, is that Jesus. There's like a long period, I've forgotten how many years, like 9 or 11 years in the Bible, where Jesus just isn't around. He's just not there. We're like, we don't know where he is, sorry about that. And then he comes back and he does all his miracles in a few years and he heals all these people. And he gets crucified like a G. Now the question is, where did he go in those years? And there's actually a lot of historical evidence to believe that he went east. He went to India, maybe to Tibet, maybe to some other places, and learned their ways. And if you actually look at some of the other, like again, Gnostic, I don't like the word Gnosticism in this context, but the Gnostic Gospels, a lot of what he says aligns with a lot of what would happen, what would happen if you were to be studying spirituality in the East. And a lot of that is about self-realization, becoming the best version of yourself, becoming closer to God through meditation and all of these things. And you could argue that there's good reason that the church doesn't want people knowing this for themselves. This could be one of the reasons, is that it's easier to control people when you say, hey, this one guy's God and we speak for him. It's not easy to control a population of people where it's like, hey, you can go figure out this stuff by yourself. And maybe they had a point. Maybe we wouldn't have been able to build the great British Empire if we had everybody out doing their own thing, if we didn't just have people bowing down. Watch out for Gnostics. Problem, those guys are all about live reads 100%. They discount math. That's funny, yeah. All right. Does anyone want to call in? I'm gonna make a Zoom call, or if there's any other topic that you guys want me to rant about. I just woke up and I just needed to get something out of me. I just needed to. I could feel it bubbling on the surface. I've been listening to debate, like theological debates, for hours every day, by the way, and just like lectures and all of these things, and just coming to my own conclusions. Interestingly enough, I haven't gone as deep on this concept as I wanted, but the Holy Quran seems to have done a much better job at preserving the lessons than the Bible. But here's the big but. And Kavirias, devout Muslims, all the love and respect to you and your Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. But the Quran has been altered, and there are different versions of it, which really goes against the premise of the Quran. Because the Quran is meant to be the unaltered word of Allah. Like, it's meant to be like completely unchanged. And here's the thing, there are different versions of it. Like, even now in North Africa, they have different versions of it apparently. But it only got standardized in 1925 in Cairo, Egypt. And the reason it got standardized is because some teacher was like, bro, everyone's using these different versions of the Quran, and I'm meant to be marking these tests, but how do I mark it when everyone's using all these different versions? We gotta just use one. So they just started using that one, and then that spread across the world. But if you ask Muslims, like, is the Quran unchanged since its birth? They'll be like, yeah, it's not been touched. Now, I haven't looked into this as deeply as I would like, but this seems to be the case. Do I believe in anything at all? Actually, no. I try not to, because the concept of belief is irrational. you know? Concept of belief is intrinsically irrational. And the reason for that is to believe something. Essentially what you're saying is, I know, but I don't really know. You know, it's like, I'm going to choose to say that this is true, but I don't really know. Like, for instance, do you believe that this is going to drop downwards when I drop it? A bunch of people will say yes. I don't believe that. I know to an extraordinary high certainty that that's going to go what we call down when I drop it. 99.99, no, whatever you want to say. But I'm not 100%. And nor are you. And nor is anybody. And the idea of like, I believe in God, the Father Almighty, is like, don't believe in God. Go and find it yourself. Go and find God. Go and find him/her/they. And go and experience God. And so you can say, I know God. If you're just guessing, that's belief and that's irrational. If you're using your intuition, okay, use your intuition. Say that I feel, I trust it in my heart, I know it to be true, then okay. But you know what you know and you don't know what you don't know. And to say that you believe in something is just intrinsically irrational. No, Solver is 100%. It's a perfect hell yeah. Do you think weed could be plus EV to boost poker patience? No. Weed for poker, and weed in general in life, unless you're on your deathbed, unless you're like truly suffering from some physical ailment, is minus EV. I've seen so many people try weed and poker. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. I've seen people ruin their poker games. I've seen people ruin their lives. It's an addictive substance. Shout out to marijuana. It should be legal for sure, and there are definitely some huge benefits to it. But in general, it just makes people tired and a little bit stupid and a little bit silly. It's different for every person, of course, but I've just never seen anybody succeed with it in poker. Poker's very like sharp. You want to be present. You want to be intellectual. You want to be quick. Weeds are very like slow and like whoa. And then the long-term ramifications of weed are just as Miles the GP says, it just makes you a little bit retarded, to be honest. And that's exactly it. All right, we're gonna get some call-ins now. I'm profitable and I smoke every 55 minutes. Maybe you could be a lot more profitable. Who knows? Yeah. All right. If anybody wants to come click on this Zoom link, you're very welcome to join. I'm going to put on my headphones. Tried alcohol in poker. If you have a mate that can drag you physically off the table, it might be profitable. There might be a sweet, like for some people, there might be a sweet spot where alcohol makes them higher EV. Because if you play scared poker, sometimes alcohol can kind of just like make you stretch your wings a little bit, but don't do it long term. Don't do it long term. Thanks, ciao, Maya. Appreciate that. I was thinking about going to Brazil soon. I got a couple of friends there. Alrighty then. So literally anybody, or you can just drop some kind of comment in the chat of what you want to see me speak about. We can debate about absolutely anything. First caller is coming in right now. Wait, let me get this set up properly. 1 second, my friends. Oh, he's left. All right, we had a guy called Jacob. All right, now we've got a guy called Dave. That ain't right. Maybe this? Hey, Dave.
Hey, how's it going, bro?
Hey, you're looking pretty dark there.
I'm outside. Sorry.
Where you at? You in America?
Yeah, I'm a homeless guy. I just chilling in with you. That's I always found you to be inspirational. I just like hearing you talk.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, it just makes me feel a little bit better. My phone's gonna probably die in like 10-15 minutes, so if I cut out, it's nothing to get through, nothing like that.
I guess that's the gambit we take when we are homeless.
Yeah, it is for sure, but it's actually not a good thing. This is a good thing because I had some serious. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This is a good thing. This is actually kind of a step down to go forward. If you know what I mean.
I feel it.
But since I got you though, I want to say thank you so much. I mean, obviously I've blown through it, but I made about like $2,000. I only play like 1-2 no limit. You know, I've always been a small stakes guy. But way back when, I can't remember which video it was, but you said so if you want someone to call you You look at them, you look down, you look at the pot, then you look back at them,
Yeah.
and then they'll call you. You don't know why. Oh my gosh, dude! I won two huge pots. I mean, it was amazing. Both times they called me like top pair, and I had like a straight or some shit. It was like fucking great.
Congratulations. So,
Yeah, sorry.
what's going on in your life? Like, how did you end up homeless? And what's are you a poker player full time?
I'm about to start trying to grind because I don't want to work for nobody no more. I'm 45 years old. I had 3 great months of my life. It was beautiful. I can't even tell you, Charlie. It was so. I would wake up and I'd want to go to work, and the reason why is because at the time I was just a lowly shift manager at Capriati's, but I was delivering food to the poker room in one of the casinos in Las Vegas.
Uh-huh.
And I was getting 100% of the tips, so I'd get like a $20 tip off like a $10 sandwich. Right?
Damn.
But I was setting the hours and everything. I mean, I was like my own boss. I got to keep all the money. I was doing great sales for my own employer, Capriati's. I got a special credit card because it had cash. I mean, I had the whole thing, man. I had that thing angled all different ways, and then COVID hit. And the thing is, I'm kind of an alcoholic, and I actually quit drinking during that time period because it endangered, that special thing I had. And but anyway, after that, it's just like everything else. It pales, Charlie. I mean, after you tasted something like that, where you put forth 100% effort and you get 100% return, you can't beat that, brother.
And are you drinking these days?
I had about a quarter of a pint today. I haven't drank since the 4th of July. I had 2 pints then. And then I didn't drink for about 2 weeks before that.
Oh, so it doesn't sound like an actual problem at the moment then.
Oh no. Yeah, that's why I said this is a step. This is a good thing. See, what happened was I was drinking daily. Like I was getting drunk every day. I'd be managing at 7-Eleven right now back in Vegas, but I was drinking all the time. And my boss, oh my gosh, he loved me so much. He said, David, when because I never drank at work, and he said, you're amazing. You're amazing at work. You're awesome. And when you're not at work, well, you're not at work, bro. And because I mean, some of it would kind of overlap. You can't really stop it. But anyway, I came out here where I'm at because my sister, she's a missionary, and she
probably wouldn't like what I was just talking about.
Yeah, kind of. Well, yeah, but yeah, she actually is. She's like the non-judgmental type. She's not like the in-your-face.
Oh man, that's the best type. When I find that people, like somebody in my life recently found Christ, and they didn't turn into like the love thy neighbor kind of Christian. They turned into the everything else is the devil kind of Christian, and it was it's such a hit to the gut. Yeah, you can really take it as a poison or take it as a medicine. I think a lot of people need to find Christ. Honestly, I think and through the Christian church, why not? It's not the worst way in the world. It's not the best either. But yeah, when people find it and they turn nasty, it's classic.
Yeah. It's no, my sister's nothing like that. She's she's real supportive. She just got through. Somebody else recommended a religious a rehab facility in Vancouver, Washington, where I'm at right now. So I gave up everything. I had like $2,000, and I flew all the way out here, got the hotel room. I went into the rehab, and I was 100% committed. And it turned out to be kind of a ultra conservative religious retreat / conspiracy.
Oh no!
Yeah, it was horrible. It was horrible. It wasn't even about the religious part. I was told all kinds of this stuff I just know is wrong.
Like what?
Okay, like I know, like for example, that the Supreme Court ruled that because they take away your phone when you go in, right? So you can't fact check. So like on day one, it was there's something the NESAR Act or it's the National Economic. I don't know. It was some anyway. What it is apparently a bunch of Navy SEALs and Delta Force commandos held President Clinton at gunpoint and forced him to sign something into law that abolishes the IRS and all this other stuff. Uh, and I'm like, this is so far out there. Like, I
Yeah.
don't believe you.
I mean, I don't know if
You
that's
know,
true or
stuff like
not.
that.
You never know what's real and what's not when it comes to behind the scenes, so it's rare to know. But you shouldn't be doing that when you're trying to help people get sober. That ain't the time.
Right,
That ain't the
exactly.
place.
That was my huge thing. That's what I was trying to explain to my sister. Because like when I left, because I checked out, I was like, I can't. Because what happened was he told me I was there for a week, and the last day, the preacher, the pastor who runs the thing, he because we had chapel and it's supposed to be like it's supposed to be reading the Bible, and they don't give me my phone or nothing, so I'm basically I told him, you're making me recreate the wheel because you're challenging me on my beliefs, because I'm not gonna just take whatever you say for as fact. I'm gonna check it, and which is okay. But during the time when we were supposed to be doing that, he's telling me this stuff on this conspiracy stuff, which has nothing to do with religion or mental health or anything like that.
It's very
And
easy
so he
for
told me,
conspiracy theory to become somebody's identity. And
I know.
I'm a guy. I think a lot of these conspiracy theories turn out to be true pretty often, but more than the average person thinks. But if somebody doesn't want to hear it, they
How
don't
am
want
I
to hear
supposed
it.
to handle that?
Yeah.
How am I supposed to handle that though when I'm like I came all the way out here for the alcohol abuse, the depression, the anxiety, basically to just kind of refine myself.
Hey Dave,
And
can I challenge you to something?
what's that?
I want to challenge you to 1 year no drinking. Plus, here's the plus. Every day for the next month, I want you to find some kind of nature and do a 10-minute breathing meditation exercise. You can find them on YouTube, or you could just do it, just make it up. Something like that. And it's an intense challenge, but I'm asking you, Dave, are you willing to take it?
That's like tough because sometimes it's when you're out here, it's like I like to listen to music and drink and just go into my own fantasy world.
I understand it, but like, here,
It's like real life is so
but
hard.
hear me out here, man. Hear me out here. I've gone through many, many different phases of my life, including deep depressions, including a ton of emotional trauma. And I'm out on the other side, and I'm still not clear of all of the difficulties in my life, but I'm out on the other side, and I can tell you, as somebody who used to say that meditation wasn't really worth it, and I used to do all these kind of drugs and everything, the level of joy that I get from just being alive right now is insane. And I want that. Like, you sound like such a good guy. You sound like a really driven guy, and you sound like somebody that genuinely wants to do good in the world. And I know it's like a ridiculously big challenge to take upon, but you could genuinely in this moment change your life. And I'm saying this with 100% certainty because I am certain. If you just said, I'm going to make the really difficult thing, and instead of drinking and having a good time, dedicating yourself to be the best version of yourself that you can be, just even for like 1 year of your life. Like, you'll look back when you're 80 and you'll be like, oh, that was just 1 year where I tried this thing. And it's not that much time invested. And there are so many things that you can do instead of drinking. But the main thing is, and here's the main thing, if you actually care about yourself and you actually want to get rid of your depression, you have to feel your emotions. You have to dedicate some time where you're like, I'm going to breathe in to my heart all of this pain, all of this anguish, and I'm just going to feel it like a man. I'm just going to take it, and I'm just going to love it. And it's going to be excruciating. I'm going to cry. I'm going to scream. I'm going to say, why, God, why, or whatever it is. But that's how you get it out, because the reason so many men are depressed is because we're told that we're not allowed to express our emotions. We're not allowed to be ourselves. We're not allowed to be emotional human beings. And it just builds up and it builds up. And a lot of men end up killing themselves because of this. And so I'm telling you, and I'm asking you, I'm pleading with you, please take the challenge, man. Even for a month.
Yeah, it's like, wow. I mean, because I came out here, I committed to a year to quit drinking, and I mean, I've done it for like 9 months before. Like, the thing is, Charlie, I have to have something that I really, 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 I really believe in. That's more important than me. That's more important than the alcohol, and
What do you care about helping the world?
I do, but I can do that and drink too.
No,
I
you
mean,
can't, man.
like,
I mean, you obviously can. You can shoot up heroin and help the world. But if you genuinely care about helping everybody around you, the thing that alcohol does is it gives you short-term dopaminergic release. It makes you feel good, but it just makes you heavier as a person. It makes your energy heavier. It makes you duller. It makes you less sharp. It makes you less able and less competent. And there's a time and a place for alcohol, but if it's been a significant issue in your life, you need to prove to yourself that you can be on both sides. You can be on the extreme where you're actually, I'm clean, I don't need this. I'm going to use it as a tool when I want to, but I'm actually not going to be a person that needs it. And you need to be able to prove that to yourself. And if you want to be somebody that can genuinely help others, and you can be working in charities, or you can help an institute, or you can help in businesses, or whatever it is, you need to be somebody that is the best version of yourself that can live a healthy and clean lifestyle.
yeah, so, yeah.
And so that's the ideal to aim towards. Don't think about yourself. Don't think selfishly like, oh, what do I want to do? Think, what can I do for God? What can I do for the world? What can I do for whatever you want to, like, for humanity? Whatever that ideal is that you're aiming towards that's bigger than you, that for me is what gets me up in the morning. When I feel like I just want to die, I still go. I still get up and I still do my thing.
Yes. Well, right now it's obviously depression driven or whatever. But the goal is I just like to be by myself, just completely separated, which doesn't segue very well into what you're saying. But I get I mean, what what I'd like to do, what I really, really, really like to do, and this I can't make money at it, but I like to make people feel good about themselves. It's even with some of the bums out here, the other bum. I mean, I don't want to socialize with them because I don't really, I don't, I just don't connect with them really well, like with their behavior and stuff. I mean, I'm the same thing, so it sounds hypocritical. It's not. It's just not. But then I give them some there's Anna, and she had all of her stuff thrown away. So, I mean, I'm just on food stamps and blood donation money. But I gave her. I just had like an extra 6-pack of rice pudding, and I gave it to her, and that made her so happy because she was like, I didn't know she was hungry that day, and she hadn't had nothing, and that was all. I mean, that was what I had, and so I just gave it to her. And it made like a big impact. And then later she came up with an EOR. I mean, I'm like rambling a little bit. But
No, it makes no. I feel what you're saying, man. Like I can feel your desire to do good in the world.
But
I'm gonna plead with you one more time, because as somebody who is just getting an outsider's look onto your life, I feel this in my bones. I feel it in my heart. If you want to change your life around, if you want to have all the things that you want to have in life, if you want to achieve all the things you want to achieve, and if you want to help people, you have to be clean. You have to dedicate yourself, and you have to, even just starting with like, I'm going to aim for a month.
No, that's true. That's true. When I actually get drunk, Charlie, I'm not the same guy. I'm an asshole, actually.
Happens to the best of us, my friend. But what I'm going to say is, reach out to me on the 8th of September, sorry, 8th of August, and reach out over Instagram and Twitter. We'll have a conversation about it, and you're going to tell me this is how I've done. And if you can manage to go a month sober, then we can have an interesting conversation. Let's say, I'll remember this.
All right, Charlie. Hey, again though, like, I mean, just thank you. I just want to say, like, because it's the way because I can tell you empathize with people, and you care, and some of the, like, I know this is kind of like on the poker thing again, but yeah, like, that was like, honestly, like over $2,000 that I freaking made.
That's pretty sick.
I was so happy. I was so happy to do it. I was like, oh my God, I feel like a pro. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I got
no, it's a beautiful thing. I'm glad that you made the money. But anyway,
to tell you that.
the last thing I want you to promise me that you're at least gonna try your best for this 1 month.
All right.
You
All right,
promise?
all right, all right.
You
1 month.
promise?
I hold on. I promise. 1 month. I won't drink. Not one drop.
Okay, fantastic, Dave. And you,
All right.
you you have to reach out to me over Instagram or Twitter and tell me that you've done it, or tell me if you haven't done it.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't. Don't have a Twitter thing. I guess. Is it? Can I? I guess I have never used like Twitter, or Instagram. I guess I just Charlie Carroll or something like that.
Yeah, I'm easy.
Uh,
I'm easy to find.
I'll find you.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. All right. So in 1 month exactly, right?
1 month exactly. Set it on your phone.
All right. And oh, okay. I got it, bro.
Beautiful.
I can do this.
All right,
I can do this.
everyone in the chat's giving you a lot of love, guys. Give him some more love in the chat. Just put a love heart down. But no, Dave, I really appreciate you calling. You seem like such a beautiful person.
Oh, thank you, Charlie. I really thanks for the moment, brother.
Yeah, all the best. Good luck, soldier.
Yeah.
See you, dude.
All right. Take care, bro.
All the best. All right. Let's go to shout out to Dave. By the way, is such a beautiful person. Like, you could just tell sometimes. You just tell when somebody truly cares about doing good in the world, and is maybe fallen on some hard times. Could happen to all of us. Has happened to all of us to some extent. Do I want to take another call? Gabriel or Emil? Emil's been in longer. We'll take Emil. I wonder if we're gonna get a debate. Hey, what's up, my friends?
Oh, hi, Charlie.
How you doing, Emil?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Oh, now you're making me tired.
Well, I mean,
Damn it.
it's almost 4 a.m.
What the heck? You on the East Coast?
Yeah, I am.
Damn, dude. Well, welcome. Good morning.
You as well?
I assume that from how you're speaking, you haven't slept yet.
I have not. I have a very inconsistent sleep schedule, which I am not proud of, but also like these late nights are some of the most enjoyable ones. So while I'm not proud of this sleep schedule, it's not the area of my life where I'm the most focused on self-improvement.
We've all been there. I used to wake up. It would be an early day if I got up at like 3 p.m. for me. So.
Yeah, no, that's where I'm at right now.
It's a good life. So what do you want to talk about, brother?
Yeah, no, so basically like very very small backstory. So I moved to Ontario for university to Toronto,
Hmm.
which Ontario poker is fucking mint.
I've heard good stuff.
So for like a year in 2023, I took it like very very seriously. Um, and I felt as though poker in many ways was like making me a worse friend.
Hmm.
So I ended up like quitting, or like quitting it as at least a source of income.
Wow.
Just because like I feel like I'm sure you've experienced this as well. Like the deeper you get into the poker community, there's like a very strong culture of like, I know better than you.
I never experienced that myself, actually.
Really, really.
Yeah, that's not maybe more so in Canada or in America, but
I think
I
America's a little bit toxic in general, or the West, the just the West Coast. Like I think this has been something that I've experienced in like every competitive game that I play, where it's like you look over to like the Twitter of like Asian players, and they're so positive, even if like they're on
yeah
a
yeah.
super run bad, they'll be like, I'll do better next time," and like,
Yeah. I'll win the
and then
next
people,
flip. I've lost
no,
16 in a row, but it's okay.
and then people in the West are like, "This fucking bitch like called me out. Like
Yeah.
here's that shot, ridiculous." Um, but no, but I think no, the thing that I kind of wanted to ask about or kind of want to talk about is like, I feel like any like job that you're like very passionate about, or like any serious hobby for that matter, when you're like kind of transitioning out of it or transitioning like away from it a little bit, like the emotional turmoil is like very similar to like a breakup.
Mm.
Um, that like you kind of go through these stages of grief of like, oh, this is normally when I would be doing this thing, but like don't really want to do that thing.
I've
Um,
I've somewhat experienced that. Maybe not as extremely as you have, but I've somewhat
no,
experienced
no,
that.
but
When I
even
when
like
I when
some,
I quit high stakes poker, that was a tough withdrawal.
yeah, no, absolutely. No, no, I very like some very similar for me. but now like I mean I'm playing a little bit now. But I'm mostly like I'm playing low stakes a little bit just for fun. Like I'll play with my girlfriend. I'll teach her to play. Um
Get it back all
and
that money you spent on her for a Christmas present, huh? I like
no,
that.
dude, ridiculous, ridiculous. Um it's a no, it's fine, it's fine. You know, gotta make back the EV.
Yeah,
We'll play tournaments. She actually her run bat is ridiculous. She's like I think we've played three consecutive tournaments where she's bubbled like losing a flip is the favorite.
that's what happens when your energy says you're gonna lose.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. She lacks the confidence. But either way, like I think like oftentimes with like other hobbies, I've like found it very easy to like just be enjoying myself. But with poker, for some reason, like I think oftentimes, like there's times when I'm really enjoying myself, but it's not even like results oriented or like due to results, but then just like randomly, like in poker, I just stop having fun. Um, like since I came back, and I was wondering if you had kind of like experienced a similar thing.
Poker only stopped being fun for me when I was playing because I felt like I should play instead of when I wanted to. Or
Interesting.
sometimes if it became less of a cognitive task and more of a I'm just trying to win task.
No,
Um,
so that second one I've experienced a lot of because well, like the cash games that I'll play with my girlfriend are either like super tiny, like 25 cent, 50 cent, or like the smallest, like the biggest she'll go, like that we'll play is like 1, 2.
it's
Um,
like a bit bigger than most people listening play.
I guess no, I know, but like especially when you like even for as soft as Ontario is, if you were regging, I was like regging like bigger MTTs. So when you move down to that, that's still considered either small or mid stakes in terms of live.
Yeah.
Um, but no, it's like I was trying to find like more enjoyable ways to play or to like challenge myself. So like, either like 70 or 80% V-pipping. But then the problem is like if
That's
people
not the way to do it.
no, no, it's a fun way to handicap yourself and try to
No, no,
learn
no, no.
strategy.
If you want to handicap yourself, here's some fun ways to do it. You're allowed to min bet or over bet,
Oh, that's quite fun. That's quite fun.
and it can be very
Um,
profitable as well against some people.
no, it's true. It's really funny. I
70% VPIP is like you're just burning money again if you're playing 1-2 in Ontario because the optimal strategies you're probably meant to be paying like 20%.
It depends. I mean, live you can find a fish to isolate and then like,
Oh, if you
like
can
I said,
if you can actually isolate people, then I take that back. Usually in 1-2 live, you just have to accept that you're going to go full way to a flop, or you just raise
no,
like
yeah,
10x.
no, I mean like no, if it's in a standard raise pot, that's the case. But if you're willing to three bet 7-4 suited, then life is,
No,
you
it's, it's,
can
pro-
you
it's,
can use
pro-
your
it's probably it's probably not good. I'll just tell you that.
no, of course not.
Generally against recreational players, you want to three bet linear. You don't want to three bet crappy hands because
No, no, it's a fun way to handicap, fun way to handicap. Either way. The
okay.
problem, the problem with going 70, 80% VPIP is if people already think you're strong, then they're like, oh, he's correctly like he's three betting 7-4 suited, and then everyone's 100% like then everyone's 80% VPIPing, and at that point we're just flipping coins, and then it's no longer a cognitive task.
Interesting. I'm
Um,
disagreeing with some of your poker fundamentals, but carry on because I don't think that's the point.
no, of course. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not. Listen, if I'm playing 25 cent, 50 cent, or 1, 2, I'm like my goal is not to play the most fundamentally sound poker.
No, I mean like the axioms of your arguments at the moment of saying that it's just
Oh,
flipping coins and things like that.
no, 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 no.
Yeah,
I mean, like, no,
yeah.
listen. If everyone is 80% V-pipping, I still think I have an edge, but it's like there's not that much room for creativity when you're going five ways to a flop.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Um, but no, I think it's just like I think I think probably or like maybe a bigger thing for me is probably stepping away at a correct time. Uh, like not just playing when I want to play, but also uh like when I want a game to break, or like when I want to leave, just leave. Because like I have a friend who runs games and he asked me to come play like 1, 2 or 1, 3
Hmm.
uh like 2 days ago, and I got there like midnight. I was like, all right, I'm leaving at 3. And then at 3 came, and I was like, well, the game's too good to leave. So like I just kept going,
This
and
is
so
a
before I
this
knew it
is
was
a
like
classic.
5:50.
This is a
No, like
classic.
before I knew it, it was like 5:50. I was like, all right, fine. 6:30, like 6:30, I'm going binding. And then at 6:25, I stacked someone. They're like, well, you can't hit and runs. And 6:30 turned into 6:50. And like the game finally breaks. But like in reality, like I didn't have even though I was up way more at 6:50 than I was at like 3:30,
Yeah.
it's like the game became progressively less fun. As it's just like I didn't want to be there anymore. I wanted to go back to bed.
Yeah, I mean, you're speaking of something that every poker player who's ever played live knows very
No,
well,
of course,
very,
but
very
like,
well.
yeah, no, of course, but it's like it's definitely an adjustment that I need to make just in terms of my mindset because it's like if I'm no longer viewing it as something I'm doing it as a form for income and something that I'm truly doing for like recreational fun, then the game being good and profitable should like be irrelevant to me.
So what's kind of like the question or topic that you wanted to discuss?
I think it's more of just like how do you end up like how do you like continue having fun in poker in these like moments where you're like tilted by the fact that like the game is like less cerebral and stuff like that.
You just got to get better at poker, because I guarantee that when you're playing a hand and you're opening Jack 10 off on the button and the big blind defense and it comes like 10-6 deuce, I guarantee your thought process, just from what I'm getting from you now, isn't going to be as deep as it could be on the most simple of spots. And
I mean, like,
if you want to be having an amazing time playing poker, you can be going so deep into these really simple spots, understanding them to such a nuance that for me, if I open Jack 10 and the big blind defense and it comes, 10-3 deuce or whatever it is, this is an interesting situation for me, even though I've played millions of hands, because that I'm always thinking of this multivariate analysis, of range analysis, of how do I maximize the EV of this specific. I'm not just c-betting a third because that's what you do. I'm thinking really in depth about every single part of its range and trying to exploit that. And for me, that's fascinating stuff. It's just like doing a math puzzle every fucking 20 seconds or whatever if you're playing
I
online.
yeah. No, I find that stuff very like very, very fun with MTTs because I've studied MTTs like far more than I've studied cash. I'm like very much a cash fish. Um,
If you're a cash fish,
but
you're an MTT fish as well, by the way. Just so you know.
you really?
Yeah, because it's post flop, man. Like to be an incredible MTT player, you need to be great at post flop, and cash games just all post flop stuff.
I sure, but I think if you've like if you like studied a significant amount of ICM more, and I know your thoughts on GTO and stuff like that, and I don't disagree with them. But it's just if you've done a lot more work on MTTs than you have on cash, then like surely there's going to be a lot of marginal spots that you perform better in MTTs than you will in cash.
The thing is, if you study ICM, you're gonna get like 2% better. If you get good at post flop, you're gonna get like 20% better. Uh, the the ICM is very intuitive anyway. If you want to be a fantastic ICM player, you're still going to be doing it based on intuition because the people that you're going to be playing against aren't going to be playing GTO ICM. Plus, the ICM calculators don't take into account future iterations of ICM and think, it's very, so essentially you're just using your intuition. But the thing about post flop is that you play post flop a lot in MTTs,
No, of
and
course.
everyone sucks, especially MTT players suck at post flop. And if you're not a fantastic post flop player using good crunchy range analysis, which is all that cash games are, then you're not going to be particularly good at MTTs.
I mean, surely there's a large difference though. A lot of you're playing far more spots that are 30, 40 big blinds deep rather than 2, 300.
But it's the developing a sound thought process that envelops all of these spots, and
But
that
no, that's fair.
let me test my hypothesis on this.
Sure, go ahead, by
So
all means.
we're going to open pocket jacks on the cutoff,
On the
and
cutoff.
on the cutoff in an MTT,
Hmm.
and we're going to be 60 big blinds deep.
60 big deep. Yep.
Yeah, and the big blind is going to defend.
Okay.
The flop is going to come 10-3 deuce with a flush draw.
Hmm.
Now, I want you to tell me what are you going to do and why, and what would you do against different opponents and why?
Uh, sure. So I And can I ask a couple clarifying questions?
Yeah.
How deep am I in the tournament?
Let's say mid stages, still half the field left.
Mid stage is still half the field left.
Mhm.
What's my ABI?
Do you mean what's the buy-in of the tournament?
I mean, yeah, no, sure, but yeah, that's fine.
Uh, I don't know what you normally play. Let's say it's a 500
This is fine.
Canadian something tournament.
Sure, 500 cap. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so halfway through it's half the field still left. So half the field still left, 60 big steep, open pocket jacks. Flop is a 10-3 deuce flush draw.
Yeah, and we don't block it. We don't block flush draw.
We don't block flush draw. And big blind defense?
Yeah.
Big blind checks to us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell me your entire thought process.
Sure. So okay. And big blind covers me?
Yeah.
So big blind covers, 60 big steep, 10-3 deuce. We'll say, just for the sake of argument, we'll just say two hearts.
I was thinking hearts.
Were you?
Yeah.
It's the connection. I mean, like very, 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 yeah, very simply. I mean, like if I just look, solver says like C bet a quarter or whatever. But like going more thoroughly, like there's not that many hands that can reasonably check raise me. Especially like 60 bigs deep. In terms of like labeling, if they've like I'm looking at their VPIP, for the most part I label on the like on the general like status of loose aggressive, loose passive, tight aggressive, tight passive.
Okay. Okay. Come work with that.
Yeah, I don't know. Stupid. I mean, it's not stupid. I enjoy it, but it's just when I did like learn pro poker, that was just
It's a heuristic. It works, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, it's the method that Randall Plant was using. I mean, against like tight passive, like I can very profitably see bet a quarter and then fold out a lot. Against tight aggressive, I think c betting no matter what is correct for the simple reason that like tight aggressive is like one of the sets of people that I'm looking to get the most value off of, because I think they're calling a little bit light. When they're like if they're hitting a 10 there, like how in that spot how passive can passive be. So tight passive is someone that tight aggressive is someone I'm hoping to narrow their range as quickly as possible, as much as possible. In terms of loose aggressive and loose passive, or like those are people that from the big blind are reasonably having maybe all 16 combos of 5-4 suited and 5-4 offsuit. They shouldn't be, but they might be. Especially
they actually should be. No, that's
should they be?
Yeah, standard.
They should be having all 12 combos of 5-4 off.
Yeah. Standard defend. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
In that case, they have like far more check raises within their range. Like obviously there could be spots where I'm drawing like incredibly thin with pocket deuces, pocket threes, but like that's my worry about that depends far more based on how I've labeled them. So no, I think c betting like a quarter is pretty it's not just standard. I think it's pretty correct there against like all 4 sets of labels.
Right. So my theory has been proven and also expanded on. Here's what I'm feeling from you.
Sure.
You're a very intellectual person. You're
Sure.
creative within that intellectual zone.
Sure.
You're not particularly structured when it comes to a lot of things in life. Evidently, also your sleeping pattern, but your thought process as well is not particularly structured, and you have a tendency to get lost in the small details. So when you're dealing with these kind of situations, any post-flop situation yeah, I think every post-flop situation, you want to be asking yourself two questions. You want to be asking yourself, what is my opponent's range? And then the second question is, what am I going to do about that? So I chose a really simple spot, like a really, really simple spot. Jacks on 10-3 deuce. I'm going to assume the person's kind of like loose passive, just to, take one example.
Sure.
If a person's loose passive and he's got, let's say, Jack 10, and we bet a quarter, what's he going to do?
If a person is loose passive, then they're just calling for sure.
Yeah. So let's say that there's 6 big blinds in the pot. We bet 1.5. He's going to call that 1.5. Yeah. Now let's say he's got Jack 10 and we bet 8 big blinds. What's he going to do? Into 6.
We're over betting flop.
Yeah.
They're probably still floating, but it depends how.
Well, it's not floating. He's got top pair. He ain't floating nothing. He's just got top pair.
I mean, no, yeah.
So he's calling for sure.
Yeah, of course.
He might also be calling ace 3. He might also be calling. He'll be calling 4-5. He'll ace 5, king 3, 4-3. Hands like this. Any 10, any flush draw is all going to be calling 8. And so by betting a quarter, especially again, and the reason I chose loose passive because it's such an egregious thing to bet a quarter against him, is that you're essentially saying, hey, I don't want the rest of the pot. I don't want the extra 6.5 big blinds on the flop. I don't want the exponentially bigger turn bet, and I don't want the exponentially bigger river bet if it runs out clean. And what you're doing here is you're taking these very simple concepts that you might have got from solvers, or you might have got, I don't know really where you got this idea about a quarter being better against these people, but you're not paying attention to what poker is. All poker is I don't know what my opponent has because I can't see his fucking cards. So I'm going to give him this thing called a range. And I know you know this, but I'm just going to spell it out because it really needs to be simplified in this way. So sure. The reality of poker is my opponent has a range. It has this uncertainty. Sure. I've got my 2 cards. I don't need to be thinking about my range. I know what my 2 cards are. So I've got full knowledge on what my cards are. And now I have to try and use these 2 cards to exploit my opponent's range as best as possible. So I see 10-3 deuce and I don't think, the solver wants me to bet a quarter. I know the solver can choose a quarter. I know it can choose a third. I know it can choose 80%. I know it can even choose some overbets in the spot. But
yeah, no, I gotta go to random.org and figure out what the solver wants me to do.
But it doesn't matter because the solver doesn't know how to account for the fact that guys lose passive. It only knows how to account for the fact that a person is a solver, which nobody that you're going to be playing in a 500 CAD tournament is going to be. So what you're doing is you're not thinking about poker. You're thinking about some extrapolated version of poker that somehow managed to enter your brain and got kind of messy. And so this is probably on a deeper level one of the reasons, or probably the main reason of why you're not enjoying poker is you're not thinking about the game. You're not in frequency with the game. You're not taking it as it is. You're taking some extravagant extrapolated version of an iteration of an idea that you've once heard maybe a couple of years ago and just kind of like putting that together in this mush and a bundle of the disorganized way of thinking about it. But I'm telling you, if you think about it this what is my opponent's range and what am I going to do about it can go so deep. The what am I going to do about it can go so deep. Then you can add the bells and whistles and things like that. Then you can go add all these creative ideas, which I'm sure you have a million of in your mind, just judging by the brief conversation that we have. But you need that structure to begin with. Otherwise, you're just not playing realistic poker. You're not out thinking your opponent. You're just putting random thoughts in there. You need to have high quality, streamlined, straight to the point thoughts, rational thought process. And that is, what is my opponent's range and what am I going to do about it? So on 10-3 deuce flush draw, I'm going to see a loose passive guy and I'm going to say his range is going to be some 10x, some 3x, some deuce x, some flush draws, and then ace 5, ace 4, etc., and 4 5, and some 5 6 as well. And then I'm going to say, what am I going to do about it? Well, I'm going to be like, I'm probably just going to target the 10x and the flush draws because he ain't going to fold that. I know this guy. He ain't playing a 500 CAD tournament to fold a flush draw on the flop all the time. So I'm just going to try and stack him when he has a 10, and I'm going to try and get a ton of value when he has a flush draw. And if he wants to get sticky with something else, I'll give him a chance to do that as well.
Yeah, if he's loose passive, he's also probably not check raising a combo draw. So
Yeah, exactly. And whereas if the guy's loose aggressive, there's an argument to be betting a third because he might check raise 3x, he might check raise a gut shot, he might check raise a 10. Then you can do some stuff. There's an argument for it. But if the guy's loose passive, he's going to be so inelastic. He's going to call whether you bet a quarter. He's going to call whether you bet 1.5x pot. So when you have a value hand, bet 1.5x pot, and when you have a bluff, bet a quarter. This is how to exploit people. And so the larger thing is that if you want to enjoy poker, start thinking about poker and stop thinking about these mental gymnastics that you've created in your mind about how poker works.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think that's also like I think that's probably just it's a better form of self-honesty because it's like again, Ontario's shit, so it's very easy to not be self-honest about like being good. It's like, oh, I have a win rate,
Yeah.
but you have a win rate in a very, very soft field. So it's probably if you're yeah, probably right. If I was thinking exploited like more exploitatively, then it's probably a little bit easier to be self-honest about like how well I'm actually playing.
And the thing is, it's not even exploitative. It's like this is game theory. Like if you actually look at what game theory is and what game theory means, it's not these solver things. It's like taking into account all of these different variables and finding the highest EV play for your specific hand. And so
Yeah.
so the game theoretical solution is not going to be to bet a quarter against a loose passive guy. I don't know what it's going to be. You don't know what's going to be. Nobody in the world knows what it's going to be. And that for me is what makes poker so fascinating. We can have the most simple spot in the world and I have no idea what the best solution is. And we can come up with these theories and counter theories and theses and whatever you want to call them. And, you know, you have conversations with people being like, oh, I think it might be this because of this part of the range and this part of the range, this and this part of the range, this. I can count the combos. And by the time you get to the river, it's like really, you can really hone in on which play is better. But it's out there to be for your intuition, not your intellect, for your intuition to be able to do these multivariate analyses and be able to say, okay, I've got these 20 different variables that's going on in my brain. I'm going to listen to the quietness in my mind or my heart, and it's going to tell me I think that betting 1.6x pot is going to be the best or whatever it is. That is fascinating. That to me is why I struggle to give up poker, because it's so goddamn gorgeous. It includes the psychology of the game. The game includes the mathematics of the game, and it's is what poker is.
That's awesome. I think that answers my question very well. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that was fun. I really like you, by the way. I feel like you'd be a really frustrating guy to speak to, but I think that you would be.
You have no idea. Shout out to the girlfriend. She's such a
Yeah. I bet you get kind of like honed in on being on an answer. Like, yeah, I bet you're wrong about quite a lot of stuff, but think that you're right. But at the same time, I think you have this humility about you where you genuinely just want to be. You just want to find out what the truth is, you know, and you're willing to look at yourself and you're willing to develop yourself. So I think you'd also be like, for someone like me where I don't get frustrated with that, so I think you'd be really fun to hang out with.
I appreciate that. No, I think in the moment I get very frustrated about being wrong, and then like 5-6 minutes after being wrong, like for 5 minutes I get very, very frustrated at the fact that I was wrong. And then
Yeah.
the sixth one always comes, and then being fun or being wrong
Yeah.
becomes a little bit fun again.
Yeah. Yeah. If you can learn to laugh at yourself in those 5 minutes, that's the dream.
Yeah, no. It's at the very least, maybe I still need four, but then the fifth,
Yeah.
baby steps. Just the fifth minute needs to be the moment where we laugh at ourselves instead of the sixth one, and then we get down to the third one, and then
Yeah.
life goes on.
And then eventually you get to the point where you can watch yourself during the argument and not identify with the voice that's saying, no, I'm right. And you can just watch yourself and laugh. And then it all kind of dissipates. I used to spaz so hard when I was losing an argument.
It's tilting, man. I did competitive debate. Results used to be based on forming an argument about being the
Yeah,
being
I used
being
to have to use argument to stop me from getting beaten up, so it was life or death. So when I was wrong, it was like a scary thing.
no.
But now we're chill. Now we can chill out because
Yeah, it's so much easier when life was so much harder when intellect was the I had a similar experience. I got bullied as a kid, but like in like fourth grade, I like completely stopped because like I told the one kid that I was like, I think I'm a lot smarter than you, and I think I think the difference becomes a little bit bigger every time you hit me. Never hit me again.
That's such a funny story.
We're actually quite good friends now. He's like a very decent guy.
Oh, that's nice. You saved his life by giving him a riddle.
Yeah, no. Turns out very strong Pokemon player. I'm actually yeah.
You played competitive Pokemon?
I am a competitive Pokemon fish.
Good to know.
I'm decent. I've played competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, and I am decent at that.
I miss these games, man. They were so
I
fun as a
I
kid.
I I top 64 to nationals, so that's life achievement. I'll never be as good as in poker as I was at Yu-Gi-Oh.
Congratulations. Did you make a single penny from that?
I lost the money that cost me my flight to get there, but I had so much fun. I gained life easy.
Yeah, it's true, man. All right, beautiful meeting you. Please call back again, man. That was really fun. Let me
Yeah, no,
know.
absolutely.
Let me know if you want to reach out Instagram or Twitter, just to let me know if you find the joy of poker again.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll send you a message. I think I'll probably Instagram or Twitter either one's fine. But yeah, I'll
Cool.
message you.
Yeah, and join my Discord
No
if you want to
problem.
come talk range analysis
I'm
with.
in I'm in I'm in the Discord.
Oh,
I'm
you
not
should you
listening
should
to
you
you,
should
but
post some hands, man. That's yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be
I
nice to see
should.
you
I
in
should.
there.
I should. I should. It's harder to log hands when you're only playing live, but
Yeah,
I should.
it's true. All right, all the best. I'm probably gonna log off now anyway. So
Yeah,
thanks for
cool.
being
Thank
last
you
call.
for
Thanks for calling
joining.
in.
Bye.
Shout out to Emil. That was fun. I needed to get this energy. I woke up just with so much energy. I still haven't meditated, but I don't know if you guys ever have that. We just wake up with like a lot of stuff to give. So that was exactly what I needed. Now I'm gonna go to a park and I'm gonna sit in the middle of the park, and people are gonna look at me like, "Is this guy just sitting?" And I'm gonna be there chanting, and they're gonna look at me and they're gonna be like, "Is this guy chanting?" And then I'm gonna put my feet in the grass barefoot, and they're gonna be like, "The fuck?" And I might do it wearing a suit. I might do it wearing this. We'll find out. Anyway, shout out to Emil. Shout out to Dave. All the best, beautiful people. Until next time. Peace. There's a lot of people. I'll rate some of this. More people than I thought. Damn, there's like 140 people on Twitch and 26 on only 26 on YouTube. But still, that's a lot of people listening to us just talk nothing. I don't know who this person is, but I'm following them, so let's go raid them. Raid. And they don't have many followers, so let's do it like that. Stick around. Actually, I miss this. I'm gonna go to just chatting, and we're gonna find somebody that's gonna really appreciate a raid of 100 followers. I miss doing this. Yeah, that was really fun. That was a really fun conversation. I'll get it up on my screen. I'll get it up on my screen so you guys can join in. Let's go make somebody happy. Is it me or are there fewer boobs on the table right now? On the screen. That seems good. Seems like exactly what we want to be doing as a community on Twitch, having less people. How about this person? I actually didn't want to scroll as much as I thought I wanted to scroll when it's lagging.
What I am. I don't know. Like I don't need some piece of paper to be like, hey shit.
Sounds controversial. Sounds fun. Go spread some love to this human being right now. All right. Yeah, speaking for an hour straight can take a lot out of you, but I like it. I like it. All right, beautiful people. Have a beautiful day.